All right, guys, welcome to a new episode of Submission Radio Live. I am here with some great guests this week. And of course, maybe there's not the craziest week in MMA, but we've got a great card this weekend. So I'm like, we've got to do a Submission Radio Live. We've got to look at the card. We've got to break it all down. Later on in the show, Ben Davis, he's going to join us as well. He had a great weekend at Misfits with one of the guests joining me here shortly. Man, Misfits boxing, that was a crazy one. A great weekend. Some interesting stuff popping up there. We'll talk to him about Andrew Tate as well. Is he coming in? What's going on with that? But before that, I want to introduce my guest. Become a subscriber. Join now if you guys subscribe. Helps the channel and you get priority, all sorts of stuff when it comes to the live streams. Now, let me introduce my guest. First things first, speaking of the Misfits show, this guest was over there, did a great job covering it. So many great interviews, one-on-ones. It kind of shows you what's possible outside of the UFC sort of media structure. You can just do like one-on-ones and do this kind of stuff. Jose, it was great to see you in your element, my friend.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That reminded me of the old Strikeforce days where we not only did we get locker room access, the PR of the promotion asked us, hey, do you want to go into the locker room? And then the fighters, I knocked on Tony's door. I was like, hey, man, can I come in and chat? And he's like, yeah, come on in. But I was the only one, which was a little bizarre. So it was, it reminded me of the golden era of MMA as we went. It was a lot of fun. It was hectic. Boxing is very hectic backstage running around. Seems we're all adults here. We know what not to film and what to film. Not everyone that covers boxing is an adult. So not everything should be content. I kept having to remind people that, but all in all, fun times.
Dude, fantastic work. My other guest, of course, Main Card Minute. He's got a new show happening that I'm excited about. Of course, it's the Big Quiz Show. And of course, his work on Morning Combat. He's wearing a brutal t-shirt. He just keeps bringing it out. Why? Why do you do this to me? Long Island Luke with the Geelong Cats. Top as he reps the boys going into the finals.
I told myself every time I was going to come on the show, I was going to wear a different Geelong shirt. Unfortunately, I ran out of short sleeve shirts today. So I'm rocking the long sleeve on this because I got to commit to the bit, Dennis. But Geelong, I believe they play tomorrow, your time. So looking forward to it.
What is that?
It's Australian Football League.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the Geelong Football Club.
I thought you were making up words.
No.
Yep. 100,000. And you know who's doing the halftime show this year? You guys know?
Is it in Australia?
It's in Australia. It's in Melbourne.
Hugh Jackman.
It's going to be Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Let's go.
Let's go, huh?
I'm hyped for that. That's pretty sick.
People are kind of losing their minds over it because they're like, what? It's a lot of like old heads watching it still like, Snoop Doggy Dogg, what the hell's going on with that?
That'll be my dad.
Anyway, hopefully no Snoop Lion songs. Guys, let's talk about UFC Paris because it's going down this weekend. An interesting card right here. I want to bring it up. I want to get your thoughts on it. And I want to go through a couple of fights. I feel like this one's kind of slipping under the radar a little bit because it is over there in Paris, because it's a fight night card, and because this thing won't let me upload the images. Sorry, 2 seconds. And because I think that this Caio Imavov fight has been building for a while and it has such meaning in the division. Let's have a look here. So let's have a look at this main card. We got, look at this. Got Caio Imavov in the main event. BSD, Ruffy in the co-main. Paul Craig is slotted in there. And down the very bottom of the card, even Pitbull is on the card. And a fight that I guess not many people really even knew was happening. Jose, going to you first, my friend. How do you rate this offering for a fight night card from the UFC?
It's a lot better than a lot of the fight nights we get in America. I'll tell you that much. Because anytime you can get, theoretically, and in a sport that should make sense, Imavov and Cowboy is a _1 contender fight. The winner fights Khamzat Chimaev. That is probably not the case, especially because we got RDR versus Fluffy Hernandez coming up. Both of those guys are drumming up more conversation than either of these two gentlemen, unfortunately. BSD Ruffy is unbelievable. That could headline any fight card, and then Pitbull could also headline any fight card. So those 3 fights alone are better than, like, the Nashville fight card was not great. The St. Louis fight cards aren't great. The Atlanta one was pretty good, had some decent names on it, but this card, just those 3 fights alone, are better than most fight nights we'll get in the States. I'm not counting the Apex cards because those can be Those are essentially at times prelim fights of a pay-per-view on the main card. So I would rate this, if we're just comparing fight night to fight night 2025. I'm not talking about years ago, especially in the Fox era when they would just load up those cards. This is as good as it gets for a fight night on free TV in the UFC.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, big stakes, right, Luke?
Yeah.
I mean, Jose just mentioned it, but I think there's a lot of questions here. Like, no one's really talking about that co-main, the Ruffy and BSD, but it's like, there's a lot of questions around that. What's going to be the future of the lightweight division? Does BSD still belong? And then even down the bottom of the card with Pitbull, questions like, all right, like, can you get another win in the UFC? Can he actually get a run going? Not to mention the main event, which could be for the title.
Crazy matchmaking for Pitbull, I feel like, because this Tate guy has like huge hype around him. He's coming over from Octagon. I believe he's a double champ over there.
Yeah,
and they're just like, yeah, Pitbull, have fun with that, dude. You got that Dan Ige win under your belt. You'll be all right. I do like Pitbull at plus money there, not going to lie. But little worried about that. I got to say, forget the fact that it's actually a good card. It's also during the day, my time. And we've been deprived for 2 weeks of no major MMA promotions. Yeah, we had Misfits and we had CJI last week, but you know, that's not MMA. So feels pretty damn good. I'm going to rate it like an 8 coming into this. Maybe you were implying it was a little higher because you guys said it was a lot better than other fight nights, but like still got to have some realistic grade here. I feel like it's an 8 overall.
Yeah.
Sir, we had dirty boxing last weekend. How could we forget?
That's true.
With that
MMA,
with that oven door of a title belt they have.
Pizza box. Love that.
I know it.
How did it fit in the bed with Rosenstruck? That's like an extra. That's like Shaq's bed over there trying to fit that thing in. Yeah, 8. I think that's a little much. Maybe 7.5. A nice little 7.5. Yeah. But also, I don't remember the last time we had a fight. I can't really remember a fight night card. Maybe like the RDR Robert Whittaker fight, the main event over there, but it still didn't have as much meaning. So I feel like this is probably the biggest fight. And I'm always interesting, meaningful fight night card we've had in a minute. Jose, talk to me a little bit about Pitbull. He's had a little bit of a rough start in the UFC. Obviously, Yair is not an easy fight for anybody to come in on, but he's been able to come back now. Now he's 1-1 in the UFC. But you and Luke just broke down for us. It's a weird fight. It's almost like they're setting him up to potentially for this kid to potentially use him to grow his name. Like, it's not really. This isn't, the Paddy Pimblett or, like, this isn't like the retirement tour that they give some of these guys, right? They're giving Pitbull a rough run here.
Yeah, they're giving him a rough run because, and I think like most UFC fighters that have already established their names, they would probably turn this fight down. Pitbull has been very vocal saying, he's closer to retirement than he's not. So he has to make this run in the UFC count, and that probably includes doing the UFC favors, because the UFC has shown if you do them favors, they will do you favors. Robert Whittaker agreed to fight Hamzat. Hamzat fell out. He fought Ikram instead, and then the next fight, they gave him a #1 contenders fight against Hamzat. Didn't go well, broke his face, but he still got the fight regardless. This seems to be one of those fights. Same as the Patchy Mix fights that's coming up. That's another weird fight. I guess another regional champion coming in. I'm not going to try to pronounce this gentleman's name. I've never been able to pronounce his name. I have butchered it every time. So I know who you are. So don't think I don't know who you are. You're an unbelievable fighter. Double champ for a reason. So this is essentially a Bellator double champ versus an Octagon double champ. I know he goes by the name Black Panther. Sick nickname. I really do think this is, Pitbull threw his name in to fight Pico when Mavzar pulled out of the Abu Dhabi fight. When Pitbull won in New Orleans, he's like, I will fight Pico on short notice. You say that, they give you another name. You can't really say no if you were willing to step up and fight a debutante. Now you're getting another debutante on an extra month's work. So this kind of fits the narrative. There's a lot of Brazilians on this card. You got Ruffy, you got Cowboy, you got a couple guys on the prelim card. So there's going to be a lot of Brazilian eyeballs on this in general. So it works. Plus, Pitbull's fought in Europe quite a bit in Bellator. Bellator was hit in Paris and all those Bellator cards way before the UFC did. So he probably has a bit of a fan base. It's a weird fight. I like the fight, and I understand why he took it. If I was his manager, I would have talked him out of it, maybe try to get a bigger name. But if he goes out there and smokes this dude on a big card like this with a lot of Brazilians watching, I don't know how you don't give him someone in the top 7, top 5 next.
Luke, who should Pitbull actually be fighting?
Oh God, let me look at these rankings quick. He just beat Dan Ige, who's number 14. He's sitting at number 11.
Number 11, but the rankings are kind of cooked, right? Like we got
Yeah.
Ortega in there at number 7, Arnold Allen, full respect to him, still at number 6.
I kind of like that. Let's defend your spot, Arnold Allen. I like that. He's been a little inactive, and that's a good test for Pitbull. Can you beat the Arnold Allens of the world, or are you a little too far past it for that? Dan Ige, we know, is kind of like the division's gatekeeper. Arnold Allen, I think, is kind of the top 5 gatekeeper. So let's see. Are you top 5 Pitbull, or are you just in it for fun fights at this point?
It's interesting though, Jose, right? Yeah, go on.
I think Arnold Allen is a bit banged up right now, and last I heard, he was even considering moving up to lightweight just because the rehab has been so brutal. Yeah, and then Aljo would make sense too, but Aljo just fought, and I think he's out until next year anyway with injuries. Emmett's already.
Did you see Luke's face when you said that? He loves this Aljo for title shot narrative. He loves this narrative. He's still backing it.
He's not going to take that fight. That's really what it is. He's going to take the Yair fight or that alluded title shot. Yes.
Yeah, and Aljo's not going to fight till next year anyway. That tricep seemed pretty brutal. Silva and Lopez are already booked up. Larone's getting the title shot. Brian's out for a while, so this is literally like, fuck it, just give me a fight. We saw it with Purion. Why did Purion fight Marcus McGee? He won, and now we're talking about him fighting the winner of Sandhagen versus Merab. Like, it works out sometimes.
I just want to shout out old man Dave here, who gifted some memberships. Here we go. Shout out 10 memberships. Thank you so much, oldest man Dave. He supports all the channels, actually.
He really does.
Yeah, Dave's
a great dude. A couple of OGs in here as well. DJ Serenity now. He's across a number of channels too. Appreciate you guys. Hey,
Just
look at that.
Beanie.
Just
Let's
Lead Radio.
Courtesy of Dave.
Got to get one of those. So, what do we guys? I mean, do you guys feel like with Pitbull though, this is a strategic move as well? Like you guys mentioned, like he's doing a UFC a favor, but the division's pretty wide open. Mosa does not have a fight. We don't know what's going to happen with him next. Well, LJ is recovering. I don't think that's the fight. But do you think that he's hoping with a good win here, he's able to throw himself into the division? Like, do you see the UFC just being like, you know what? He went out there, he fought in Paris. We don't like Mosa. We'll just give him Mosa, for example. Do one more fight for Mosa. What do you think, Luke?
I was going to say, I feel like Keita is one of those guys that like casual fans are not going to know this guy. Pitbull beating this guy, Octagon double champ or not, I don't think it like moves him crazy.
Doesn't do anything.
It's a huge win for us, and we're going to all go, oh shit, Pitbull still got it. But it really doesn't do anything for his ranking standpoint. The value here is like Pitbull is already a name. So like Jose was saying, he jumped in here, he did them this solid. Now you reward him. Maybe you get him a fight night headliner against, again, Arnold Allen or something like that. And I'd be cool with it. But he really is. And it's kind of a win, or your UFC run has kind of come to a halting stop.
I think it would make a lot of sense if Pitbull wins and say Diego Lopez wins. I don't think Diego's fighting for gonna fight Volk anytime soon because he just lost. So Pitbull very well could leapfrog. I don't see the UFC giving Aljo a title shot anytime soon, unfortunately. And if Jean Silva wins, you'd have to imagine he gets a title shot. And if not, and Pitbull and Jean Silva or Diego win, there's your headliner for a Brazil fight night right there for a number one contender fight. Like, this is all hypothetical matchmaking because the UFC already has their Brazil card lined up. But next year, if they go to Sao Paulo or Uberlandia, that fictional world down in Brazil, there's your headliner right there.
So are you telling me, Jose, that Murphy is still not locked in for this title fight with Volk, in your opinion?
No, Lerone Murphy is locked in, but based on how...
Because this fight is like next week. That's next weekend's fight, Lopez and Silva. Can he sneak in there? And Volk just had another baby 2 days ago.
I don't think anyone's leapfrogging Lerone right there. I mean, Volkanovski is saying Lerone is next. I think they just have to line up the other cards. The UFC doesn't... If you notice, the UFC historically doesn't like announcing fights until they announce the earlier one. So they're not going to announce December before November. Now that they've announced MSG, I think we'll get the December main event soon, possibly around the Canelo time.
Old man Dave going Pitbull versus Chandler too. Hey, at lightweight, that's not. You're not doing nothing with
Why not?
Chandler. There's some heat there. Make that happen potentially next. Luke, what happens with Mosa, my friend?
Oh, Movsar. I mean, God.
And don't forget, you can't tell us that Alger gets a title shot. He lost to Mosa.
All right.
He
I'll
lost
leave
to
Alger.
Mosa. What are we talking about here?
Okay, Diego lost to Movsar and got a title shot. I hate that narrative. We all know that
it wasn't
mean
that kind. It's a different thing, man.
No, but I'm with you. Maybe let's say Diego loses to John Silva. You do that rematch. That's a fun. Let's see who gets the next title shot. Mavsar and Diego.
That's
and
fun
Diego
fight.
will have a full camp this time. You know, there's some storylines you could buy into that with. Otherwise, yeah, he's kind of just got to sit still and see what happens here. Also, I said right after the Lerone Murphy fight, he has until September 13th to book this title defense against Volk. Otherwise, John Silva is going to leapfrog his ass, and clock's ticking, man. You got about 10 days to get that done, I think. So I'd be a little worried if I was Lerone.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's a lock, Jose. They love Silva.
I think
introductory deals.
You can't win as many. What's that? 8 in a row, 9 in a row for Lerone. You can't win like they. Ankalaev won like that, had that long of an unbeaten streak, and the UFC was like, oh, fine. Like we can't.
Fluffy though. Look at Fluffy. Yeah. He's still not fighting for the title.
But that's because the middleweight division, unlike the featherweight division, has been hyper active. Like we have all these like MMA fighting, we call it middleweights.
Yeah.
And that's like Anthony Hernandez and Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori. Like these guys are so active that all of a sudden they're all on the same timeline. And that rules the fact that we can have that argument.
Yeah, let me tell you something. You know, Fluffy had a good run, but I think he's just missing that big name win.
I agree.
To get there. That's the thing.
He needs a win in front of a crowd. You can't just be rattling off impressive wins in the smaller octagon in front of nobody.
Yeah, sure. I think that was the first time that a lot of people saw him that Delete win, like because it was so impressive. They went back to watch it, and this. We'll talk about it in a sec about who's next, but this is going to be a pivotal fight for him next. Okay, just quickly, Paul Craig, right? He's on the card as well, on the main card here too. What are we feeling about Paul Craig's chances here against Modestas? Doesn't have to worry about catching herpes, Jose, on this one.
No, he does not. Paul Craig. I mean, this is as clean cut as you can. If the fight stays standing, Modestas Bukauskas will probably knock out Paul Craig. If it goes to the ground, Paul Craig will probably submit Modestas Bukauskas. I know there's argument that Ian Cutelaba won in Montreal against Modestas. I don't really care because that fight, I don't remember that fight at all, and I was there. But Modestas has looked pretty great since re-signing with the UFC. I know he had that stint in Cage Warriors, and he's fighting in Europe again, which he historically has done very well. And if Paul Craig loses, what's this, his 10th loss in like 4th, 5th in a row? It's not great. It's not ideal. So, and he's not losing, like he's losing bad. And Bo Nicholas beating you up on the feet. That didn't age well. That did not age well. You can't. And then if your specialty is grappling and you get submitted by Brendan Allen and then get knocked out by the guy in the main event and then get pieced up by an NCAA wrestler on the feet, I mean, that's rough. That's rough for Paul Craig.
Yeah, have a look at the record right here. A bit of a rough run for Craigie boy. A bunch of losses. Was able to pick up one win there. The weird no contest, of course, there as well. Luke, are we saying goodbye to Paul Craig if this doesn't work out this weekend?
If this doesn't work out, yeah. And I'm not saying it's gonna work out, but I do think he'll like hold his own in this fight. I could see it going the distance weirdly, and like maybe Modestas, 30-27s him or something. But I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm crazy because I don't remember if I bet on Paul Craig or I had the over or something, but I felt like he was looking good in that Bellato fight. And I remember thinking he's got his back against the wall here. This is a very winnable fight for him. Then obviously like Bellato took that up kick and then, we all saw what happened after that. But I just feel I just feel like Modestas is another guy that like, I can't really trust Modestas. Like, oh, this is a guarantee he runs right through Paul Craig. Like, no, it's a little, either guy could win here. So I hope it's not the end of Paul Craig. I really like the guy a lot. And he's fun to watch. Modestas could, what's a loss going to do to Modestas here? Nothing big. So I'm rooting for Paul, but I don't like his chances here. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, he's got to win over the champ, Jose, but we'll see what happens if he can stick around in the division. All right, let's talk about BSD, man. this guy, I felt like we all thought this guy was going to be the future of the division. He looked unstoppable, unbeatable. Then he went up against Dustin Poirier and the wheels kind of came off a little bit. He's coming back in here against an absolute hitter in the co-main event, Jose. How pivotal? I mean, I think the storyline for both of these men in this fight is pivotal, right? For BSD, he's trying to prove to everyone, hey, I am still that dude that you guys thought I could be in the division, and I'm taking out a sharpshooter here in Ruffy. But for Ruffy, it's like, I'm taking out BSD. I'm saying hello to the division. I am now up in the elite of the elite, and I'm coming for that belt. Who do you think has the biggest to lose in this fight?
It's not even a question. It's Benoit Saint-Denis, because he's back in the win column, like on paper, but Kyle Prepolak took that fight on incredibly short notice, and he wasn't even in the UFC, and he was incredibly undersized. That was supposed to be the Joel Alvarez fight, and that fight would have been a banger. Losing to Dustin Poirier, having staff in Miami, I don't really give him that much flack for it, because he knocked out Matt Frevola and then fought Dustin Poirier. I love Matt Frevola. We get along very well. He's a very talented fighter. There are levels between Matt Frevola and Dustin Poirier. Beating Matt Frevola in November and then fighting Dustin Poirier in a 3-round fight in the city that Dustin trains in March, that's tough. Fighting Moicano is a very talented fighter. He's much better at doing what Benoit is not good at. That was in what college football terms a trap game. He was always going to lose that fight. If he loses to Ruffy has been on fire. I know he just knocked out King Green. I think he has to take a step back. I know he's changed camps now. I think he really does have to take a step back and maybe fight someone outside even the top 25 at lightweight. Because after his win against Prepolak, people were like, oh, let's give him Fiziev. I'm like, you guys are nuts. Fiziev is a savage. And then he gets Ruffy. Ruffy, I have a lot of questions about. He's winning spectacularly, and that gym is clicking. Benoit Saint-Denis is a very good grappler. If he can just grind Ruffy into the canvas with his elbows, Benoit has more to lose, but I have way more questions about Ruffy. So I think this is a 10 out of 10 matchmaking.
Luke, do you feel like BSD is going to try and push in on Ruffy and try to turn this into the battle that we've seen in the past that he's had, ultimately getting caught by one of these crazy kicks or techniques that Ruffy brings in there that we still don't know 100% what he's capable of?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's smart of BSD to push the pace and whatever, but he's gonna. That's all he knows. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but he's got 14 wins, all 14 by finish. There you go. So the guy's a finisher. He's going in there to take your head off. Jose just mentioned the Kyle Prepolak fight, dude. You were saying people were like, oh, give him Fiziev. Dude, I felt like I left that fight being like, oh my God, BSD is a shell of what we thought he once was. Like, I didn't even think he looked good in that fight. And maybe Kyle Prepolak on a full camp is going to be a surprise. We're all going to be like, oh, this guy's actually really good. But I can't make that assumption right now. I have to make the assumption that BSD has severely downgraded. So you're taking Ruffy here, who's coming in on a 7-fight win streak, 6 of those by finish, riding the momentum. I got to side with Ruffy, but also I'm with Jose that even going into the King Green fight, I was like, I don't think we've seen enough out of Ruffy here. I could see King Green edging out a decision here, but we saw that spinning wheel kick, and it's like, okay, the guy's a killer. So putting all my faith in Ruffy, I could definitely see a world where Benoit takes him down, chokes him out, but I can't trust Benoit right now, at all. So riding with Ruffy.
This is also, I think this is Ruffy's, 3rd UFC fight? 4th? That's a tough. BSD for your 4th fight is tough.
Yeah.
It is his 4th.
But it's interesting. The Moicano thing, I think the reason why he lost some steam on that one, apart from the fact that he lost, of course, was Moicano had that really bad shoulder injury, remember? Where it was not only did he beat him, but he had a broken shoulder. And I think for a lot of people, he lost a lot of steam on that one. And then, like you said, the following, even the win, people were like, oh, is he a shell of his former self? So there's going to be a lot to look at in this fight. Let's talk about Ruffy, for example. If he does win, Jose, and wins in devastating fashion, what do you think it means for him in the division? The division is super duper packed, right? And I know people were talking about, hey, maybe it's going to be the Beneil fight for Ruffy, and it didn't end up being that fight. But there's a bunch of people in the division for Ruffy to fight, I don't want to say retirement tour, but there's a bunch of legends in that top 10 that he can go up against, and the UFC can build him. I want to bring up the rankings just quickly here so you can have a look to tell me if he does win here. Oh, it's not working. If he does win here, who do you think a couple of good candidates for him to fight next, knowing that we've obviously got a bunch of people floating around still waiting for fights? And have a look at that. Look at that division. So many options for him. Like Gamrot would be a rough one, I think, because he's a tough guy to fight. But outside of that, like the Benil's in there. Who knows what's going to happen with Oliveira with this Fizea fight. Michael Chandler's still in there. A bunch of names still in there to potentially fight him.
Well, he's certainly not going to fight Michael Chandler. The Moicano fight maybe, but I don't know if they want to give. I don't know if they want to do Brazil on Brazil crime. The Fiziev fight would be pretty sick. If Charles Oliveira, especially if Fiziev loses to Charles Oliveira, that would be a little bit of a fun fight. I like the Dariush fight. I like the Gamrot fight because I don't want to protect these guys. Like if he goes out there and melts BSD and doesn't do much grappling, I want to see Benoit against a wrestler. I know he will eventually do it. I want to see it now. The Joel Alvarez fight would be sick if Joel Alvarez makes it down to lightweight. That is the brutal cut. I know Ignacio Bojomondes is coming off that loss to Fiziev, but that is a tall dude. I like to see two lightweights that can stare at each other in the eyes when they face off. Grant Dawson's always doing his thing. Any of those guys, but forget the Chandlers, forget the Patties, forget the Hookers. Any of those guys that are one fight away from title fight, they ain't taking it. Ludovic Klein, I think, is coming off a loss to Gamrot. I think Carlos Diego Ferreira might have a fight. That's another Brazil thing. I don't know. It would be any of those would be good, but personally I would do Joel Alvarez or Gamrot. I think he would deserve that. I think he would obviously take BSD's 15 spot, and then from there it's just ranked guys from now on.
Luke, what's your dream fight for Ruffy in that top 10?
I mean, it depends what you really want for him. Like Jose's saying, he wants to see him tested. I'm kind of in that same line of thinking. Like, let's see who's the best. Same thing with, like, I want Armin for Ilya next because I feel like that's the toughest matchup for him rather than Patty or Gaethje. Like, I want to see these guys tested. Hoofy does have 0 submission wins. I'm not saying he can't grapple, but like we haven't seen it tested. He does have 100% takedown defense, worth noting. So I don't know how many times he's been shot on, but either way, there's some fun fights here depending on how you want to go. You want to get him in a fun striking match, like Jose said. Fiziev would be a lot of fun. Benil would be a lot of fun just to test him all around. Dan Hooker would be a fucking sick fight. But then, like, if you want to just give him the toughest test in the division for what his skill set is, presumably at this moment, you could even give him Grant Dawson, who's only ranked 1 ahead of him. I think Grant Dawson could beat him. And then obviously Gamrot, who's a little higher up there at number 8, could definitely beat him, I think, at this moment. So
wouldn't hate if Alexander Hernandez beats Carlos Diego Ferreira in Noche. That's 4 in a row for him. Winning 4 straight fights in the lightweight division is tough. I think that'd be a fun little Apex main event right there.
I'll tell you, it's heating up in that division, though.
It's the best division in MMA.
You reckon it's better than middleweight?
Yeah.
And featherweight?
Yeah. And
middleweight's hot right now, but it's not deep. Lightweight's always been the deepest.
Like, Joel Alvarez is unranked. Like, come on.
Yeah.
He's so good.
I think it's at that point because lightweight, you've still got the legends, and the legends are still pretty good. But you got the new people coming in like Ruffy, and it's like, oh shit, like you get them to clash. Almost like when the UFC bought out Strikeforce or Pride or whatever, you get them to clash on their way out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Dan Hooker versus Armin. I know you guys aren't big on it, but I reckon that's a fun fight.
Sick fight.
For New York. Let's just make it happen. And I feel like Armin's going to have to fight anyway.
Yeah.
Let's just get it to happen.
I wouldn't mind Ilya versus Armin in January for that first Paramount card in LA.
That'd be big. But I feel like Justin Gaethje's in the spot to get it done.
Either one, dude. I'll watch Ilya fight anybody. I'll watch Ilya fight a door, and I would be excited.
Yeah, we just need a fight to be locked in. And by the way, Justin Gaethje on his way out, he's done all the favors for the UFC. I feel like
sure.
But then Paddy Pimblett, that's a huge fight too.
Wouldn't hate Armin Paddy. That's a spicy one.
Yeah, but then do you want to lose Paddy to Armin beating him? That's the question.
Then Armin finally becomes interesting.
Do you guys remember when just like maybe a year ago or so, we didn't even know who Islam would fight in the division because we're like, he's beaten everyone. He might have to now we're like, we don't even know there's too many people. It's a good problem for the UFC to have in a number of divisions. All right, let's look towards the main event of the fight card this weekend in Caio versus Imavov. Interesting fight here. first off, Jose, Caio cut the weight, UFC 319.
Yeah.
I spoke to him afterwards. He told me it's a non-issue. He's had really good diet, really good
Famous
nutrition.
last words.
How bad do you think this is going to impact him?
I mean, I was in Chicago. I chatted with him a few times in the elevators. He seemed in good spirits, but weight, we saw Tony Ferguson cut weight and then all of a sudden had turn when he didn't have to. Remember, he was supposed to fight Habib, and then he ended up weighing in on his own because he's Tony Ferguson, and then had to turn right around to fight Justin Gaethje, and he's never been the same. Borralho is a big dude. He's a thick dude. He could very easily go to light heavyweight. He hasn't fought since May last. He hasn't fought in a long time. Taking a lot of time off, traveling the world, and then coming back and doing 2 weight cuts in 2 months is rough. Imavov had 4 fights in 12 months, knocked out Izzy, took the appropriate time off. I don't know if the weight cut is going to play a factor. I lean more towards Imavov just based on activity. You can't take a lot of time off and then come fight a guy that's just fighting the best of the best. That is a tall order.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy one. And just a quick reminder, if you guys have any questions or you want to join up, hit it in the chat. We're still going to be hanging around. There's a bit more to talk about. I wonder, he's been everywhere, Luke. Caio has been at every card, at everything. He has represented the fighting nerds so well. I feel like he's kind of gotten the word out there. Even myself, he would bring the glasses, hand them out, represent the team. Same time, it's you got this massive fight. And Imavov admitted that, hey, we decided to focus in. We weren't going to take this backup spot. It was almost like a ruse to get Caio to do this thing. What do you reckon? Do you reckon this ultimately impacts him? Or do you think Caio is just one of these guys that can just travel around, do this thing, and it's just a part of the way that he is? Look at this. He's got the glasses. Ones. Everyone have glasses?
Ruffy gave me these.
Mine are unofficial.
Ruffy gave me these when I interviewed him about One Piece. He was so excited he gave me these.
What do you think?
About Caio? Okay, I don't know personally. Maybe you guys know. How much does he cut? Does he cut a lot of weight normally?
He's a big dude, though. He's a real big dude.
He does look big, but I'm wondering if he can walk around, 190, 195-ish, then maybe this isn't even, maybe we're buying into this more than we need to. And maybe I'm speaking as someone who has a bet in on Caio Borralho, maybe, allegedly. But I am very worried about this double weight cut thing. I think it was a stupid idea. And I think that someone else told me that there's rumors going around he's sick this week in France. Not gonna, just something I read online, but that's also making me nervous. Imavov, truthfully, this 4-fight win streak, I believe you said it is. I think I've picked against him every single fight on this win streak. So, who am I to judge? He's probably going to win here, but I'm going with Caio. Also, Nasruddin was taken down in both of his UFC losses. Caio, we already know, is a good wrestler. So, there's definitely a path of victory here for him, but we'll see with these double weight cut. I don't know, man.
It's interesting that you look at Imavov's record and you're like, damn, man, this guy's actually pretty impressive, right? Yeah, he's a beast, a very underrated guy. Let me just bring up his record here, Jose, because I want to ask you, if he goes out here and puts out an impressive win against Caio, puts him out this weekend in Paris, have a look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this list that he's beaten. He was beating Roman Dolidze before it was cool back in, almost a year ago. Of course, put out Izzy. That's no easy thing to do. What do you think this means for him if he's able to take Caio out in impressive fashion? Do you reckon he can actually get this title? He doesn't say much. He's not a big talker.
I think he could get this. If he goes out there and stops Caio Borralho, I think he gets the title shot. I really do, because I am a firm proponent of you need a signature moment in the UFC to get anything, right? You need that huge knockout win. You need that massive moment in front of a crowd that they can play over and over and over and over. Imavov has that, but he doesn't have the, Stipe was great. Everyone talks about Stipe knocking out Overeem and then getting his moment in Cleveland. That was sick. Darren Till got the title fight. Missing weight after beating Wonder Boy and getting his moment in Liverpool. You need those moments in the UFC. And if Imavov goes out there and knocks out Caio Borralho in Paris, which has proven to be one of the 5, maybe 3 best crowds in MMA, that place is going ballistic. especially if Benoit does well and then he follows it up and that crowd is just red hot. I don't know how you don't give it to him, especially you can have two guys from that part of the world. I know he's from Paris, but I think he's actually from Dagestan. And him and Hamzat know each other somewhat. I think that would be a really big fight. I'm not saying stick it in Saudi or Abu Dhabi or anything because I don't want to go there anymore. But I think that would be a very, very excellent main event for sure.
Luke, break down this fight for me. Sir Praise Son says Imavov gets clipped with big shots every fight.
Sure
Caio
does
not. Great movement. Caio, of course, he's been inactive for almost a year. He hasn't had a chance to fight, but he is a fighting nerd through and through, just obsessed with styles, techniques. He'll break down everybody's strong suit to you if you have the time. How do you see this fight actually playing out, Luke?
I mean, how do I hope it plays out, or how do I actually see it playing out?
How do you see it playing out?
All right, so I see it playing out with 48-47 in either direction. I really don't know who wins this. I think it definitely goes the distance, and I think it's a nitpicky, maybe even tied going into the fifth kind of fight. Caio gonna need to implement the wrestling. I think he's won his last 3 fights without getting a takedown, which is actually really good stat for someone like him, who I consider a grappler. But it's also like, dude, Imavov is really fucking good on the feet, and he's good on the ground. Actually, remember when he had Edmund Shabazian in the crucifix? Yeah. So I think Imavov's sneaky underrated in both spots, and he's probably the better striker than Caio. But you guys are saying Caio doesn't get hit, but I think a lot of that is because he takes his opponents down, and he's in top position for a lot of these fights. So I don't know, dude. I'm going to say 48-47, and I'll say Caio because I'm rooting for him. But I actually feel like Imavov probably gets the nod here. Hate to say it, but I don't think he finishes him. I don't think either guy gets the finish.
Do you think that either one of these guys is a tough challenge for Hamzat Jose?
That is a good question. I think Fluffy and RDR would be much tougher. Imavov now it's been clicking, I think would be any of those 4 guys I think would be very, very tough, especially now that it's weird after seeing. I thought Drikas had the best chance to beat Hamzat because he's just such a freaky fighter. But this is gonna be weird sounding, but after seeing what he did to Drikas, I very much think fighters are going to prep for that now. Fluffy and RDR have it, Imavov has it, Cal has it, any of those 4, but I think Fluffy and RDR present much bigger issues for Hamzat.
Because look, it's interesting that Caio's trained with Hamzat. He says he knows his style, and that's kind of an advantage, right? Because I feel like you have to be in there with Hamzat just to feel what you're in for before you fight him. Do you think that Caio could potentially be a danger to Hamzat?
I said coming off that DDP fight, I think Caio and Fluffy are probably the 2 biggest challenges in the division for Hamzat. But I think I also said I would not favor either of those guys against him right now. Caio might come out in this fight and look really fucking good on the ground. And then I'll go, all right, you know what? I want to see the Hamzat fight now. But as of right now, I'm leaning Fluffy. Like, obviously, he's got to get past RDR, but I feel like that's the only guy I could truly see even just giving Hamzat a tough time. And I think it's all going to come down to his gas tank, dragging it into the later rounds. I know we said that with DDP, but at least Fluffy can wrestle better than DDP. So I think it goes a little differently. But yeah, dude, I don't see anyone really dethroning Hamzat for a while here, unless it's him dethroning himself, meaning like a bad weight cut, injury, something like that. But
yeah, it's going to be fascinating what happens to the division after this. Just quickly, a couple of names of the division. I was just talking to him this week myself. Oh my God, these images just won't load. Robert Whittaker, he was on here. He was talking about how the title is now a pipe dream. I brought up MVP. He's like, I'm not that keen on fighting MVP. I brought up Drikas, and he's kind of keen on a Drikas rematch. How are we booking some of these legends in the middleweight division, Jose? I want to start with Robert Whittaker. What would your pick be for him? He says he will not fight Izzy for a 3rd time. Friends, I actually would love to see a 3rd fight between the 2. I think that's a fun one. What would you pick for him then? He's already fought Costa. I mean, do you do Strickland or do you hold on to Strickland for Izzy for a rematch? What do you do?
In this, Izzy Strickland is the fight to make, but if you're not going to do that, I think you got to do Strickland and Whittaker. Just because Strickland's talked all that shit about Whittaker only having a blitz. Whittaker seems down to clown. He seems to be the only one he hasn't fought in that top whatever. So I think in a perfect world, Izzy fights Strickland. They don't do that. it's Strickland Whittaker. And if that's not the case, I just think you'll hold Whittaker out and see what plays out. Maybe he goes up to light heavyweight because I think he's too big of a name for Delitse. I think he said it himself. He's not really keen on fighting MVP because that sounds like an annoying fight. Just let him chill and maybe move up to light heavyweight. You can have some fun stuff.
Like, what do you think of Robert Whittaker at light heavyweight? I really felt like there was a period there when Jamal Hill was champion that I thought, man, Robert Whittaker to light heavyweight, like this makes sense. Get up there. He's actually a really big guy. People don't realize this. Robert Whittaker is actually, he's not tall, but he's like a tank of a human being in real life. He does cut a lot of weight. Would you be interested in seeing him have a run at 205 at this point in his career, though?
Yeah, see, before you brought up that he's a big guy in person, because I wouldn't know that, I'm immediately going, guys, he's a former welterweight. We really want to see him at 205. That makes me nervous. But if you guys think he would fill out up there, it's clearly the weaker division. There's clearly he probably gets one fight in the top 5 and title shot next. It wouldn't be that hard to climb there. But I feel like you gut it out at this point. I think you make the Strickland fight. You have Izzy fight Paulo Costa in a rematch.
Ooh.
And then you do the Strickland Whittaker, because Sean Strickland's sitting at number 3 right now. And I'm not saying Whittaker deserves a title shot off of a win. In fact, I'm not saying that. But I just feel like if you could take his number 3 spot and hang out around there while, Chimaev, RDR, Fluffy, all those guys kind of sort each other out, then it's not a bad spot to be right now. I'd take that over moving up to light heavyweight. If he loses to Strickland, then sure, maybe you got to figure something else out here. But shout out to those first 2 Izzy fights. I got both posters here. I wouldn't mind a third one either. Let's go.
I want to see Izzy have a fun fight. Like Jose, Paulo Costa, number 2. I feel like Costa wants to, go back in time and change some things about that first fight. He's shown us he's now serious again. Wouldn't be the worst fight just to run that. I mean, that's a great co-main event, or that could even be a main event on like a big fight night card.
I think that would make a lot of sense for a fight night main event. I know Izzy said, I think it was with our interview with our good friend Chisanga, Izzy wants all these rematches, so he would be willing to grant someone else a rematch because it would only be right. And he specifically brought up Paulo. I mean, I want to see that fight run back anyway. That just fully depends on how kooky Paulo is going to be because, he's won and Izzy's lost. I'm sure Paulo would take it, but he also seems very hell-bent on fighting Hamzat. And he seems like the wacky enough dude that he'll just wait to fight Hamzat.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's an MVP in the division as well. Who knows what I still think an MVP Robert Whittaker fight.
That would be sick.
It would be a good fight. I know Rob says MVP is annoying to fight, but... I think there's a lot there. So we'll see what happens with that too. Ben Davis joining us in just a minute, but before he does, quickly, Luke, the RDR Fluffy fight before we move off middleweight, who are you picking in that one?
I got to go Fluffy at this point. I think like the biggest risk is obviously RDR does have those knees to the body. We've seen Fluffy weak to the body before. So like definitely a concern here, but man, I thought Whittaker won that RDR fight. Maybe that's just, I'm salty over that still. And I'm like, I don't even think RDR deserves this step. So what are you going to say?
Go back and watch my interview with Rob earlier this week. Not that many people watched it because it's a quiet week in MMA, but he's like, the reason now that he's lost the RDR fight, he's kind of like lost all hope of getting the title. Yeah. And it's just crazy because it was like so close and the glove holding. And it's just like those little things can potentially change the trajectory of someone like Robert Whittaker. I try to kind of talk him off the ledge a little. Yeah, I was like, hey, man, you're still good. Don't worry about it. But you can tell that loss has actually had a massive impact on his run and his thoughts on what's next. All right, just quickly, I'm bringing in our friend Ben Davis, who's fresh off a boxing event, joining us. And, of course, the Misfits boxing himself. He's going to join us for the rest of the program. And I want to bring this question up to the panel for us to finish out in a second. And I want you guys to think about this. Give us 5-fight main card for the first Paramount Plus event. I want you guys to think about that. Before we go to that, I'm going to go to Ben first. I'll have Jose and Luke. You guys think about your cards for a second. Ben, I want to ask you something. I'm reading these reports about Andrew Tate coming to Misfit Boxing. I'm seeing it's going to be against Cowboy Cerrone. Of course, you're not an insider here, but give us your immediate reaction. You might be interviewing Andrew Tate throughout the weekend in the ring. If it does happen, what would you think if that fight came together?
Well, guys, it's great to be here, first off. Thanks for having me. Excellent question off the rip. I think this is an instance where putting on the professional hat and going, hey, what do we do here? We get numbers and engagement. What could someone like that bring? Numbers and engagement. So I think in the professional lens, it works. I'll tell you this, though. Haven't heard that opponent attached to Andrew Tate, nor have I seen some legitimacy in Ruben Carter's reporting on the purse, $20 to $40 million. I don't think so, buddy. Another swing and miss from the world's worst reporter. But yes, I have definitely overheard conversations, BTS, suggesting that Andrew is coming to do something. I don't know. I mean, geez Louise. Oh, well.
Listen, man.
I can't put the mask on. I can't put the mask on. I should, right? I should, but Jesus, he's got a sex trafficking charge. Are you joking? Come on.
I want to know.
I'm fine with a scammer and Dylan Dennis, but sex trafficking? I just don't, I just don't. At what point do you just have to fucking stomach it, right? God. Me and Jose, first off, had a great time in Manchester.
We did.
Series 22. What an unreal fight week. Hell of a more positive note. But, yeah, you decide to throw that at me after icing me for 45 minutes. Golly.
Hey, sweet potato, look at you over here. Look at this. Look at the technique here. So Darren Till is trying to rip the mic out of Ben's hand here. Look at the determination. Look at the footwork. Look at the grip strength. What was going on in your head here, Ben? As Darren, here he goes again.
Back foot goes for a second shot at the mic.
You thought you were out. You thought you were out, and he pulls you back in. Talk us through that moment.
No one's getting the mic. Nobody's getting the mic. First rule of broadcasting: the mic does not leave the hand, because why? Once it is outside of my grip, there is no control. Right? And these shows require consistent control over all elements. So, yeah, I love the opportunity to assist and add value in those moments. I get a little bit of, comment on the energy or maybe the facial expressions, but that's me. There's no act in those moments. It is just, how do I think I can execute this to the best of my ability? And you guys see what's on display. So very fun. Congrats to Darren. Hell of a fucking performance. And, the man with the mic. Always good.
I got to say, dude, I'm so impressed. How impressed are we, Jose and Luke?
The three best parts. That wasn't even the funniest part of that fight week with Ben. The best was, if you watch the face-off, don't remember their names, the one where the little person ran up on stage, and Ben got in a full defensive crouch and put his palm right in the little person's face with like a force field. Very funny moment. Second was Darren. It's so funny if you watch Ben's reaction when he tries to interview Darren in the final face-off, and Darren just goes, "Get that fucking mic away from me!" And then you look at Ben, he just goes, "All right," and then just walks right away. All right. And then there was the other face-off when your arm got like stuck and someone was like pulling you up on stage.
I thought I was gonna dislocate. I was like,
those were the three best parts with Ben. It was just his face, all right, and then he just walks away.
Dude, I gotta say, you did such a good job, man. I'm so proud of you. Like, you're one of my favorite dudes to do it now. I reckon you add so much to the broadcast. I'd love to see you get into some UFC stuff down the line. I think that's what we need at events. We're gonna go into our top 5 cards for this Paramount Plus card. Ben, have a think about yours. Jose, I want to go to you. You mentioned you want Ilya Topuria on this one, potentially with Armin. Break down the rest. So that's, I guess, the headliner. Give me your 4 other fights on the main card.
All right. Main would be Ilya Armin. The co-main would be Amanda Nunes, Kayla Harrison. I think that's a good double whammy right there. I would like to see... Oh, man. You could do Ian Gary versus Sean Brady. I think is a fun little scrap. I think that would be a big one. For lightweight, I would probably do Benil because he trains in LA, and Ruffy if you win, or the winner of BSD Ruffy. I think that's a fun one. I think because they deserve that. And then I don't know who he's going to fight, but if you're going to Los Angeles in the Inuit Dome, which is the most state-of-the-art and most beautiful venue, and you can do a lot of fun things there, you got to do MVP versus somebody. I think him in LA would be big numbers. So that would be perfect. But that one, I want to see how the rest of the middleweight division plays out, because he's also said he wants to fight in London against Leon, and the London card is historically in March. So January to March might be a little bit of a turnaround but if he gets one, say November, December, and Leon wins in November, I think that's a perfect main event. But MVP deserves to fight in LA. If not, then you could do the losers of Reyes and Olberg versus the loser of Yuri and Khalil Roundtree. I think that'd be a fun little scrap too.
I love that card. Luke, who do you have on your one? Give me your main event first.
I was gonna say Jose took like half of mine. So I had Ilya Armin. I'll change it now to Ilya Patty. How about that?
Yeah.
Co-main, I had the same exact
Wow.
one. Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes. I'm going 3 title fights on this. I need Pantoja Van to round it out. And then I also took Sean Brady, Ian Gary. I feel like that's the most fun fight. That's not a title fight right now. And then to start it off, you just need a banger. You need 2 guys that are going to throw down. I don't think one of these guys would accept this fight right now, but Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. I mean, we were supposed to get it at one point. You need something to just get the people going. And then those 4 at the top. I mean, that's a banger of a card right there.
Dude, Dan would take that fight in a heartbeat. I
I
think Justin Gaethje's kind of out of that position now. He doesn't really want to do it, but I'd love that fight, man, especially with a good lead up with both fellas. Ben, you're a bit on the spot. You've just been done with a boxing session yourself, so you got the sweats going. Tell me, what's your main event for this card?
So you guys went with some very realistic, within budget,
Yes.
hypothetical matchups.
Yes.
I'm going to break the bank, and this will be not something that you could realistically do. So let's get Ilie Topuria heading up to 170 to take on the winner of JDM and Islam, right? The triple crown, the 3-weight champ, Ilie Topuria, potentially. Co-main event. I would like Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades 3. I want the rubber match. I'm the only guy.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why?
I mean, look, I
Why?
want the rubber match. I
Why?
want the rubber match. Razor Blades needs his time. Then, right, you want to stack three really solid, fun fights before co-main and main. So give me Alexander Volkanovski versus Movsar Evloev. Give me Merab versus Umar 2. And then give me Pantoja versus Josh Van. Is this an all-championship stacked card? It is. Is this going to cost $100 billion? It will be. And I'll give you one extra one. The featured prelim of the White House card is going to be the number 3 ranked Brandon Royval taking on the returning Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. So that's how we that's how we break the bank. It won't happen, but that would be a fun one.
That's funny just to be like, hey, DJ, you're making $500 million off your YouTube channel, but will you take 20 and 20 to fight Brendan Royval on this card to prove yourself and potentially make 100 and 100 in 5 fights time? Just quickly as well, we've had progress on this White House card as well. Apparently it's going to happen. And, people want to know what the main event for that's going to be. I had Ali Abdelaziz on. He still thinks Kayla is going to be fighting Amanda Nunes, but he thinks it's going to be like their second fight or something on there, which I don't know. That's a bit of an interesting one. But Jose, what is your main and co-main pick for that White House card? Knowing that Conor McGregor wants to be on it, knowing that John Jones apparently wants to be in on it. What do you do with that one?
I mean, Connor Chandler would be an easy one. Mr. America versus the guy that will probably headline it. Connor Nate would be sick. Finally get that trilogy.
I like Connor Nate.
But
Connor Nate.
I might be in the minority. I want Connor Nate to happen outside the UFC so they can get the lion's share of the purse so they can make more money. Because Connor has 2 fights left on his contract. If he fights out, does his own thing, and they do I don't remember what Nate's promotion, but if they do Connor's versus Nate independently and they get all the money, those 2 are already underpaid. That would be sick. The easy ones would be Chandler and Kayla, the Olympic champion versus Mr. America, and Mr. America versus fill in the blank. I don't think either one would care who they fight, but it would probably have to be Connor, Chandler, and Kayla versus maybe the Amanda rematch at 145, especially if Kayla wins. I think that would be if I was a betting man, those would be the 2.
Yeah, you got to have Kayla on there. She's the American Olympic champion. It's true. Luke, what do you think for your main and co-main?
Yeah, I'll go a little less American and just go for what's the biggest fights they're going to be able to put on at that time. How about Poatan win or lose against Ankalaev, against Aspinall, main event. Then you got co-main, you got Connor, Nate 3. Who else should be on this card?
Well, hold on. If Pereira wins, we don't see him beating. I don't think one of us see him beating Ankalaev in this rematch. But if it does happen, crazier stuff has happened, he's right back in there, Luke. Right? He's in that.
But now
lottery.
move up, become a, not at the same time, but a triple champ in the UFC. That's the move there. You're going for history here. He's been 85 champ, been 205 champ, go up, unify the belts. But I don't know, man. For the rest of the card, like Kobe Covington, I know people are gonna laugh at that and be like, why the fuck would Kobe Covington? But like he is like Mr. Trump and like Mr. USA. So I feel like you got to put him on that card.
That's why
right?
it'd be so funny to not, though, right? I mean, the guy who's made it his whole brand and living for years,
True.
just to get ousted. I mean,
Dude,
come on.
just do Jorge versus Colby too. They both love Trump.
They do. I was thinking that, but that's such a terrible fight. No one wants to see it again. So
Loser gets the vaccine.
Jorge versus MVP, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, man, that'd be sure. I'm signing up for that. Here's my co-main event. Not that anyone asked. So I've actually
He's so sassy today.
I've moved up Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades 3. That's now the main event. You're getting the headliner, the marquee matchup. Will
What
be
is
the rubber
it?
match
Why do
that
you
everybody
want this fight?
wants?
Why?
Because everybody
Who?
wants it. Because
Who's
everybody
everybody?
wants it.
This guy goes to MTV Challenge
And
and
then-
that creates rubber matches for everyone.
And you're going to love this co-main event. So we're going to do the quadrilogy between Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. I think it's about time that we get not one, not two, not three, but a fourth matchup between two legends. What better way to commemorate, an ancient dictator running things than two ancient fighters dueling it out that nobody wanted, right?
Perfect. Well, this is going to be a great card. Hey, what about Francis Ngannou and Tom Aspinall? Is that a fight we would like to see? Is that better than Curtis Blades 3, Ben?
I mean, can Francis even do it, right? I think he's locked in contract hell right now, right? Also, he's
Oh,
got
man.
Deontay Wilder. Deontay's calling out. That makes way more sense than doing MMA.
Why not? There's that fight as an MMA fight in the main event of White House.
No, or just keep it boxing. Have him box in a cage.
Just boxing an octagon on the White House lawn. Oh,
I just think it would be so funny to have Nate Diaz repping the States at the White House. I would love to see it, just throwing up the signs. All right, quickly, guys, before we wrap up, Ben, odds came out for JDM Islam. I had Javier Mendez on yesterday, and he doesn't even agree with these odds, says they're completely off and don't tell the true story of the fight. What do you think, man? Have you seen these odds? Are you down with the fact that these things are off?
What are the odds? I thought you were going to provide me with the line here.
God damn
what are we
it.
looking at?
What am I, a professional?
Minus 250. You have graphics for everything.
Plus
you guys have graphics
225.
for everything.
JDM plus 225, minus 278 Islam.
Whoa, it's gone up to minus 278 now? Damn.
That's on
it's up to
DraftKings
minus
right now.
265, yeah.
Listen. I'll play both sides of this. We aren't that far removed from Gilbert Burns holding JDM down for 2.5 rounds and then getting smoked by a knee. That is somewhat recent. But I do think that there should be a lot of credit provided to JDM for his anti-grappling against Bilal, who is, one of, if not the best in the division at the grappling side of things. And Islam going up to 170, how will the athleticism, the strength transfer? There's question marks there. But I think if I were going to line this, maybe like minus 180 Islam plus 150 plus 170 JDM. That seems fair.
I like that. But, Jose, Craig Jones coming down to train for 2 months with JDM in this camp. Do you know how long he trained with JDM for his last one with Bilal?
I'm going to guess 9 days.
2 weeks.
They're close
So
enough.
2 months. Two months they're going to be focusing. And by the way, he's prepped for Islam, like twice already?
Yeah.
It's true. Hey, real quick before we head out of here, CJI Invitational went down over the weekend. What was everyone's takeaway from that? 2 days quintet and then a very interesting
too late.
piece on in.
Way too late in the
late?
day.
Like
Especially
9 p.m.
like
Eastern,
the main. I was flying for the second one, but the first one I was trying to watch a little bit when I was in Manchester, and I was like, dude, if I was in New York, I would be falling asleep right now. Just move it up earlier in the day. It's a weekend anyway.
True.
What do you
I
think?
I didn't catch any of it. I'm gonna be honest, but I heard it wasn't as good as the first one. That's all.
It certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
But you know what? Can we just give Craig Jones a round of applause for going up against the
It's
UFC
sick,
by
dude.
himself? Do you understand that this is a guy that used to be in the gym over here with me in Melbourne? Like, I used to do stuff with him at Absolute MMA, and he came out of Adelaide. And now if you guys have a look at traffic and stuff, he's like one of the most sought after interviews in MMA at the moment, even though he's not even in MMA. And he created an event and went up against the UFC, had Gable Stevenson pull out on him last second, and then he's still like affording these bonuses and stuff like that. Like, I feel like, Ben, you guys with Misfits and Craig Jones with CGI almost kind of showed what's possible outside the UFC system for fighters.
I think
it could really work.
Yes and no. I would say that we are both in like outside the orbit, but there is I would say, cohabitation that Misfits Boxing has with a lot of bigger entities, whereas CJI is this very much against the grain, rage against the machine type mentality, and there is like high level resistance from the brass tacks over at, the big house, right? They fucking hate him. And so despite that level of anti-Craig, he can pull these types of things off, which makes it even more impressive because, Misfits, we don't have that type of staring down the chamber of a high-powered player on the combat sports scene like that. So
he did it in Vegas as well, the home of the UFC.
Ballsy. I mean, the kid's ballsy.
Shit.
Yes. I don't know. I think Craig is he's doing everything right, and what a switch up with Chael Sonnen last minute. I mean, if you're going to plug in anybody for that, of course, it's the greatest of all time. Still undefeated, undisputed. I do agree with his thinking of the rules, which was it was a pin. 1, 2, 3. Chael Sonnen should have won twice. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where you guys lean on that, but Sonnen should have won.
I know that. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's a weird, because I agree with everything Bane said, and Craig basically created the rules for this UFC BJJ that they stole it from. They stole it from CGI. The issue with CGI is the main event with Gabby brought a lot of eyeballs, and like they did what a UFC pay-per-view should do. The main event brought the eyeballs, and the rest of the matches were sick. That's some of the best jiu-jitsu you'll ever see. This one, Gable Stevenson, was very interesting. The second it fell out, interest was probably halved. And the biggest names in jiu-jitsu outside of Craig Jones are Gordon Ryan and Mikey Musumeci, neither of which can do CGI or will do CGI. So that's the bummer, because how many freak show matches can you do? Once a year, by the way. This is once a year. Misfits does it, 4 or 5 times a year to keep the interest. If CGI did once a quarter or 2 a year and got some other big names, then I think we could really be talking.
Dude, a CGI with Gordon and Craig?
Oh, that'd be the biggest.
That's the builds.
That would be the biggest grappling match in the history of grappling.
Could Netflix put it on? Like,
yes.
Luke,
yes.
Gordon would never do it out of principle.
Never.
He's too petty.
But it could be a work. Never. It could be a work. These guys are always working. By the way, Oscar Willis, I think he's putting out a behind-the-scenes thing of CGI. So look out for that. And I got to hear about some of the back stuff about who was going to be instead of Chael Sonnen. I can't reveal it, but man, they were going for everyone, and I'm happy that shout out to Chael, who did that real American wrestling thing, and then just flew over and did this. Come on, man! Shout out to Chael.
So why did Gable pull out? Was there official?
There are rumors.
Turf toe.
Yeah, not
turf
toe. Turf
yeah.
toe. Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah, because he signed with LFA, right? And there's nothing confirmed, but obviously he's looking to create an MMA career, potentially maybe for his career aspirations. It made more sense for his management to put him in this MMA fight, and then who knows,
Whatever, dude.
Whatever. Literally, whatever, bro.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck, Gable. You have extinguished my hype towards you for the last couple years. It's like he has the anti-Midas touch. Everything that Gable Stevenson puts his brain towards disintegrates, and no one fucking cares. And you know what? He's not a results-based guy. Where are the results, Gable? It's almost like Colby in the sense where it's all talk, but at least with Colby, you can sit there and laugh at him, With Gable, it's just I always hear how good you are. I never see it. And this was maybe an opportunity to do so, but instead we are once again twiddling our fucking thumbs saying, man, I hear Gable's great, huh? He's this legend.
He did go to the NFL, and that didn't quite work out. And he went to the WWE, and that didn't quite work out. And that was a weird one because WWE would have hung onto him like gold. But you know what I'm saying? It's not a great sign. And now he's
Did he get pinned by a high schooler in a wrestling meet somewhat recently, or was that?
I don't know.
He lost,
high level.
He lost the national championship for.
Yeah, another
at
loss.
At least with Colby Covington, he's a nice guy behind the scenes, and he's had my back a number of times. Whereas I don't know about Gable Stevenson.
With all those L's that Gable's taken, he's starting to remind me of Ben Davis, man. I'll tell you what.
Come on, dude! You got a big win over the weekend, the biggest win of your career, brother. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Luke, what's coming up on Main Card Minute this week?
I got new episode of Prop Quiz dropping Friday. Not going to reveal who's on it yet, but big episode. Looking forward to it. So tune into that. Appreciate you.
Jose MMA fight. I can't wait to see the pop quiz. Jose MMA fighting.
Casey is going to be at Canelo Crawford that entire week.
That's next week, huh?
So be on the lookout for that.
Far out.
Outside of that, you know, the machine keeps running. I will be on Robbie Fox's podcast sometime this week reacting to the Superman sequel. So stay tuned for that. If you don't like MMA,
Superman sequel, we did a whole thing on it. I'm going to put it
sure
out for free so I can take some of Robbie's views. Ben, by the way, Casey wants to do Misfits boxing. What about you and Casey? Next
Me and
fight.
Casey. Oh, how it would be an interesting one because I know he's more of a grappler.
How old are you? How old are you, Ben?
Well, I just turned 56.
All right. So,
I like to think that.
So you got about 10 years on Casey.
Yeah. So I mean, if he wants to commit some elder abuse, maybe we can talk shop. But no, maybe we'll see. Next up for me, Total Combat Pro League, man, September 13th in London. I think we're at the Indigo or something. It's kind of like a karate combat precursor type show. Very excited to be involved and commentate it. So don't know where the fuck you watch it, but tune in.
There you go.
All right, guys, that is it here for Submission Radio. Some more stuff happening tomorrow. I might actually get, you know what, we spoke about Israel. Why don't I get his coach on tomorrow and find out what the next fight for him is? Jump on Submission Radio tomorrow and find out. Apart from that, that is it for Submission Radio Live. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, guys.